What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today when I talk to you about Lucid, I want to go over some of the current data points, break it down on what really moved in, go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So Lucid went down 1.6% today, 304 the low, 331 the high, and a fair amount of volume. So 180 million shares being traded, 170 is the average. One thing that did really happen today was they put out news. I've already kind of covered this in my pre-market video, so I'm not going to dive deep into this, but don't anticipate any further updates because a lot of these deals are good, very, very good, builds a strong foundation, but they all take time. So they're all, I think, generally going to be around the 6-month mark. So we'll be seeing more updates Q1 2026 associated to all of that. So I just wanted to kind of give you a quick summary of that. Aside from that, market did really move up today because of the Japan deal. So 550 billion investment in the States. Plus there was a lot of kind of good topics or kind of points towards a Europe deal. So that might be coming maybe end of this week, possibly early next week. So that's going to be something as well, very positive for the broader market. But Lucid did lag, and it wasn't shorts. Shorts surprisingly did return 6.39 million shares today. 30.07% of the free floats being shorted works out to be 370.78 million shares overall are being shorted. So if we kind of look at the teal line right here, from the get-go, this big drop right here was once the market did open. So in case you don't know, by shorts returning, they are essentially buying. So that's kind of what did cause this crazy spike once the market did open. But ultimately, like if you inversely put this chart right here, it matches with this. So shorts returned, which in general does add a certain level of buying pressure. So if we kind of look at both the secondary market and also the dark pool, you see a lot of selling. So for whatever reason, institutions were selling Lucid. I don't know if that is because of Tesla earnings, and so that did come out, and for face value they did miss on a lot of their key metrics as per usual. But usually what does happen in their case is that they give good future guidance, and that kind of is a saving grace for them. So we'll wait and see, but I think right now Tesla is down. I think it is 2 point something percent, so now 3.3%. so potentially that could impact Lucid going into tomorrow. But aside from that though, you did have a lot of institutions selling Lucid, and even some big ones after hours. So maybe again that might be a precursor going into tomorrow. So there was on the dark pool 12.4 million. On the secondary market there was a couple right here, 1.4, 1.1, 9.9. so a lot of big money regrettably was selling, and shorts took advantage of that selling and covered a lot of shares. So let me know your general thoughts on that. Coming from a macro standpoint, there wasn't really any data points. The big thing was going to be their earnings. Both Tesla and Google did have fairly good earnings. They had a lot of misses or a kind of cash spent on hedging, so they lost a significant amount there. But aside from that, should make for a very interesting day tomorrow. One thing I do want to share with you though, which was rather interesting. So Corey, who is the director at Lucid, did say, hey everyone, I'll be at the X Takeover, and that is a event that's going to be from July the 25th to 26th, and that's the largest Tesla and SpaceX enthusiast event in the world. So it looks like he's going to be there at the official Lucid booth. So that's a very weird type of venue to be at. But then again, for those of you that kind of tuned into previous like interviews that Mark has done, most of the Gravity orders are coming from Lucid or ex-Lucid owners. So kind of good thing for that. But there is one thing I wanted to share with you. A lot of individuals have often enough talked about Lucid and Uber, what that potentially means, but Uber does technically have a deal with Waymo. Of course, Lucid and Waymo don't really have anything, but technically it says, were you also involved in Waymo Lucid RoboCab deal? No comment. I get it, no comment could just mean like, no, stop, I'm not talking about this, or could potentially mean, hey, like I'm not supposed to talk about it, like NDA type of thing. So yeah, you never know, there might be some third party type of thing using Uber as kind of the middleman, right? So you never know, there might be a Waymo, Lucid, Uber type of trifecta that does happen. But generally based on just the price point, I think the only thing that would be make sense would be the mid-size. Like Lucid's vehicles for face value are too expensive, even I think for Uber. So it's definitely a lot of importance placed on the mid-size. So all of this very unique. The fact that they're going to be at a large Tesla event and just this whole kind of secondary comment, very interesting. So what's your viewpoint on this? Do you think no comment legitimately means like, hey, I'm not supposed to talk about it, or hey, there's nothing to talk about? So of course, if you're new to the channel, I like to kind of dig deep a little bit and whatever else. But aside from all that fun stuff and shorts returning, looking at the options, 5.48 million in calls, 1.3 in puts, 46% of all the options being done were bullish in nature. So despite you kind of having a pullback today, based on the options, it shows that it was unjustified. And as well as shorts returning shows that it was unjustified. So that's kind of a good thing. From the bull standpoint, there's still a very strong consensus for it to be roughly around that 350 range. Bears are anticipating for it to be sub 3. So with it at 309, clearly there is a lot more upside than down. With it though closing at 308, it is trading between this R1 and the pivot. So one attributing factor as well that really held Lucid back was it bouncing off of this R1. So 331 is a very big resistance, and clearly now I think this is the second time it's bounced off of this. So that's a heavy resistance point. So going forward, just watch for that to be that breaking out type of scenario and place. So 331, flip side 288 is going to be the next strong support, and that wasn't tested whatsoever today. No new analyst ratings, no articles really coming out associated to Lucid that's kind of worthwhile to bring up. A lot of just random fluff news pieces. But on the actual chart itself, because of the recent kind of volatility, you're seeing stochastic RSI breaking off of the overbought status. So that could potentially benefit it going into the next couple of trading days. Tomorrow we do have a lot of data from July. So manufacturing, services, and a lot of individuals are going to be looking at that data and really trying to analyze how impactful the tariffs have been. So that's going to be something that you could see some extra volatility for tomorrow, that or potentially could cause a nice push in the broader market. But nonetheless, on the actual chart, still above all the key pivotal moving averages that I generally like to look at. So the 200, 150. So things are still looking pretty a-okay, and there is still a lot more room for it to essentially consolidate. That's again worst case scenario, but even generally, like, consolidation is healthy for a lot of stocks. So let me know your thoughts on Lucid. Do you think that Tesla's earnings is going to impact Lucid tomorrow? What's your thoughts? Do you think that there is potentially more partnerships behind the scenes, such as with Waymo? And what is your viewpoint on shorts? I know a lot of people, and I don't know why. I always get very skeptical about random large accounts just randomly pumping. And I've seen a lot of random accounts that have never talked about Lucid on Twitter start saying that, hey, Lucid's a short squeeze play, blah, blah, blah. So do you think that Lucid is a squeeze play? And if so, how high do you think it could potentially go? So let me know your viewpoint. And then, of course, in my earlier video, I already gave you my thoughts on the questions. So if you do want a good laugh, go take a look at the retail posed questions to management. I would love to say that, hey, you can still put in some good questions and have them asked, but generally whatever is posed in the first 12 hours and that is trending, those are the ones that gets asked. So I think, to be fully fair, that's kind of a write-off. So let me know your general thoughts on Lucid. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. One final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, many of which have been absolutely on point and bangers. Definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.